Every time you go downstairs to your house to jack off, get off, look at porn, every time, you're out with your friends and you go home and fantasize about the businesswoman or the woman you saw at the bar, right? You're leaking energy. And if you're a married man and you light up around a particular woman, or you're finding connection with a woman, that if you're being really honest with you, it's much more than business. You might call it, hey, we're a collaborator, we're doing these things. But if there's this energy that you're feeding off of it, you're actually leaking your sexual energy. I think it's one of the biggest epidemics in the world today. And this is so much more than just about sex. Sexual energy is the most creative energy in the world. It's the energy of creation. I am more grounded in channeling and protecting my sexual energy than I've ever been in my entire life. I'm 48 years old. And for most of my life, I did not totally channel and protect my sexual energy. So as I go through this, I'm not talking about this as if, hey, I've never done this and you've done this. Protect your sexual energy. It's a superpower I didn't even know existed. Well, welcome to the Burn Up Podcast. I'm your host, Adam Nugent. Today's episode is going to be spicy. We're going to talk about leaky sexual energy. I've been talking about this for a while now, and it is everywhere. I think it's one of the biggest epidemics in the world today. And this is so much more than just about sex. So much more. This is about power. This is about sexual energy. Sexual energy is the most creative energy in the world. It's the energy of creation. And where we direct that sexual energy will ultimately determine where we go and what we're able to do as both men and women. Now, my message today predominantly is towards men. Many of these same principles will apply to both men and women, but much of the stats, the things that I'm going to talk about, are directed at men. I could share just as much as it relates to women and where they're leaking their energy. There's a lot of parallels, but nevertheless, this is really directed towards men. So this is not a new concept. Many of you heard of Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. If you go back to 1937 when he wrote that book, there's a chapter in that book and it's titled Transmuting Sexual Energy. And for 25 years, this is back in the 30s, he was studying successful business leaders and businessmen and found that one of the common themes which each of these people and their success that they had was rooted in how they were able to channel their sexual energy, where it was channeled. And sexual energy, again, is creative energy. It's the energy of creation. It's the energy of building. And every great thing has been built upon energy. And when we're leaking our sexual energy, it takes us away from our mission. As men, it takes us away from our purpose. And as I'm stating, this isn't about having less sex. It has nothing to do with that. Yes, sex is a big part of it because we're talking about sexual energy, but this is really how you move through the world and what you do with that energy. And really what I want to talk today is really identify where you might be leaking your sexual energy. And the truth of the matter is the majority of the world in one form or another, and I don't say that lightly, is leaking sexual energy somewhere. And before we get into this, let me be first, as I state this and where I'm at today, I am more grounded in channeling and protecting my sexual energy than I've ever been in my entire life. I'm 48 years old. And for most of my life, I did not totally channel and protect my sexual energy. Leaky sexual energy in relationships, in my marriage, dating, in life, as a teenager. The list goes on and on and on. So as I go through this, I'm not talking about this as if, hey, I've never done this and you've done this. I have participated in almost all of this personally. So I know intimately well. I know both sides of it. And I've also learned how you can actually alchemize and actually take your sexual power and put it into your purpose. And I'm telling you, it's a completely different game that I would not even be able to understand or know had I not be currently experiencing this today. That's really important. I'm not here to blame. I'm not here to judge. I'm just here to call out what is. And I'm a truth seeker. And I've had seasons of my life where I've been out of alignment or out of integrity. Integrity is my number one core value. I want my words and actions to be aligned with the men that I work with, that I coach and consult. I never encourage them or invite them to do something that I'm not currently doing or have done on my own. That matters big time to me. In the world today, we see lots of people saying one thing and doing another. It's everywhere. So I'm hyper aware. I'm hypersensitive to it. And more importantly, I'm hyper aware of when I'm out of alignment or if I'm out of integrity. And again, because it's a core value, if it's not a core value, if it's not a hell yes, and it's a no, then it's not a core value. Wanting to be integrous or have integrity is your core value, but you're not actually living it. You might value it, but a core value, it's who you are. I'm happy to say that I've worked really hard to get to this place, that it's rooted in who I am. My decisions I make in everyday life is really rooted. Is this in alignment or out of alignment? Are my words and actions aligned? And again, I've had plenty of my seasons where I have not been in integrity. And so the question really isn't, do you have sexual energy? We all do. It's what do you do with it? What do you do with it? And leaky sexual energy is so much more than just the obvious. If you're a married man or woman, leaking energy, having an affair, pornography, are kind of the two main big ones. But there's so much more than that. Leaky sexual energy can be, connecting with someone from the opposite sex at work, right? And you light up with them. You feel different. They see you. They compliment you. Right? And you're getting lit up by it and you're actually feeding into it. That would be an example of leaky sexual energy. How you are on social media. What are you scrolling at? One really good thing is you go into the grid, like on Instagram, where you can actually see, based upon your history, like you go to the search bar, it'll show you samples of what you're looking for. If that's loaded with a bunch of OnlyFans models or whatever, right? You're leaking energy out into that. It's a DM. It's somebody liking something. It's how you light up when you're around somebody. And if you're a married man and you light up around a particular woman, or you're finding connection with a woman, that if you're being really honest with you, it's much more than business. You might call it, hey, we're a collaborator, we're doing these things. But if there's this energy that you're feeding off of it, you're actually leaking your energy. That's another example of leaking it. Fantasies, right? We all have fantasies. Fantasies aren't bad. How you act on them will ultimately determine if your energy is leaked or not. And why do we, porn specifically? Porn is an epidemic. I'm going to share some stats here in a minute. But why do men turn to porn? Is it because we're turned on all the time? Yes, and it's actually more about the dopamine hit. And I heard this years ago from a gentleman online, and it's the best definition of somebody that's actively engaging in pornography. And they turn to pornography. They use porn, and really it's getting off after looking at porn to regulate a dysregulated nervous system. It's the dopamine. So each and every one of us has a vice that we go to numb or to check out or to move through uncomfortable emotions or things we don't want to feel, right? Porn is huge. That's the number one reason people turn to porn. If a married man is feeling disconnected from his wife, wants to have sex, but they're just disconnected, he's frustrated, he's angry, he, runs downstairs, hides himself on the phone, gets on his phone, and jacks off and watches porn. It's easy. It's the quick fix. It's the nice hit. And then many times the shame cycle kicks in after that. And if you've been involved in it or engaged in it a long, long time, it actually starts to go away. Like it just becomes part of your habit. And if you have an addictive personality, you might be someone that's going to over and over and over. So whether it's porn, drinking, drugs, social media, scrolling constantly, many times we turn to all of that as an avoidance of not wanting to feel something, or maybe it's not have a hard conversation, because I don't think anyone's going to argue that the real thing, having actual intercourse, sex, making love, is way better than, there's just nothing better than that. And then, getting off on yourself, but it's the quick fix. So it takes discipline when you're triggered. It takes discipline when you want to not engage in whatever behavior. In this example, I'm talking about porn. It takes real discipline to not check out and to sit through the uncomfortableness, to lean into the hard conversation. If you're married and there's conflict, the easy out, if you will, to numb the uncomfortableness is to go jack off. Well, what if you chose not to? What if you chose not to engage in that? What if it was more about, I'm going to sit in this uncomfortable, I'm going to have the hard conversations, and I'm willing to wait and to work through this, so that once we do finally work through this, then it's that much better. Delayed gratification. For years, they used to have this thing called No Nut November. I never really understood what that meant, right? Oh, what? We're just not going to jack off for 30 days? It's like, oh, that sounds good. It was this whole big push, right? And I've heard all about this thing about retaining sexual energy, what that meant for years. When for 11, 12 years now, going down this personal development phase of really getting to know me, I've gone down every particular rabbit hole. But it isn't till recently, till the last couple of years, and especially literally like the last 6 months for me, of like what that really means to completely retain it, like channel it into other projects. I mean, it is a superpower. And I'm telling you, like, if you haven't done it, you don't know. But I'm telling you, like, it's incredible. It's incredible what that power can do. Instead of channeling or leaking it, it's actually going into creative projects. It's actually into serving your purpose. It's actually going to work out at the gym or whatever it happens to be. There's also a sense of euphoria and accomplishment that comes by not engaging in the thing. So if porn is your thing, going a day or going 2 days or 3 days or, and longer and longer and longer, it's uncomfortable, but the longer you go, the easier it gets. And again, porn it's addiction, and it's the dopamine hit. I gave a presentation a few weeks ago down in Arizona, and I was talking about alignment. And I was actually giving, statistics actually around porn. And I'm going to share some here in a minute. And I was talking about certain people, and I said, what does it make these guys that are actively looking at this? And someone yells from the audience, a sinner. I hate that word. I'm like, no, it makes them human. Human. There's so much judgment, towards that. And the reality is the majority of men look at porn. It's just a fact. It's a fact. I mean, it's over 75% of men look at porn. Let that sit for a minute. And so if you're a married woman listening to this and you haven't had these conversations with your husband, statistically, there is a high probability that he has or is currently looking at porn. It's just a fact. And I've said this previously. I said this a couple of weeks ago. I might have even been on a podcast. Porn's not the problem. It's the secret. It's the lie. If porn's your thing and you're a married man, tell your wife, hey, honey, I'm feeling a little frisky. I'm going to go downstairs and get on my OnlyFans account or Pornhub or whatever, and I'm going to start jacking off. Okay, then talk about it. Bring it out into the open. But most men don't. I didn't. I hid that shit. Shame, guilt. It's the secret. And we're going to get into that. But I want to talk about just even some of the statistics as it relates to this. And I apologize. I'm looking down here and I'm reading this, but I mean, because I didn't want to misquote this. So, 78% of men consume pornography. It's not a fringe behavior. It's the majority. 84% of men that are engaged in porn have nobody that, that's actually helping them through it. 50% of them say nobody even knows about it. 39% of Gen Z looks at it on a weekly basis. This is a staggering statistic. 75% of Christian men, right? Christian men are actively looking at pornography. Over 67% of pastors, Christian pastors, have had a stint with pornography, and over 20% of them it's an active problem ongoing. And it's after I shared those statistics, that's what I said, what does it make these people? And they said sinners. And it's like, no, they're human. They're men. Like everybody has a thing. The guy the man or woman that's judging you for porn has, a painkiller addiction, pain medication addiction. Everybody has something. And it's so easy to point the finger, but the truth of the matter is it's secret. It's the shame that's attached to it. But it's leaky sexual energy. It's leaky energy. The DMs that nobody sees, right? If you're a man, your wife walks in the room and you have to hurry and turn your phone, and you got a problem. Bring that shit out into the open. I can't tell you how many successful men. In fact, we'll see how this goes. I'm trying to build an AI video about this right now where it shows this man successful, has all the things, right? Everybody looks at him like he's got everything. On paper, he's got everything. But behind the scenes, he's a different man. He's wearing a mask. He's looking at porn, he's drinking, he's got all these little hidden secrets. The secrets. Nobody's going to know. And I always find it really fascinating, especially for people that claim to be religious I gave the example of Christian. Like I'm a good Christian, I'm a religious person. And yet you move through the world that nobody knows any of this stuff. But if you believe in God, God sees it all. It's wild. Oh, no one's going to know. I'm safe. You're like, trust me, God knows. And so do you. And that will wear on you with time. And I'm telling you from personal experience, like you can't outrun the truth. I talk about this all the time. So again, it's not the porn, it's not the DMs, it's all of it. Yes, those are symptoms to a bigger problem. It's the shame and the guilt. It's the secrets. So why does a man turn to that, right? Let's take in the business world. It's like you get lit up. It feels good to be seen. Most people like to be seen. Most men's love languages are words of affirmation and physical touch. So if you've got a man, for example, that let's say that's in his marriage is not doing well. He doesn't feel seen, right? He feels unappreciated. And then this beautiful woman comes into the office to do stuff. She happens to be really friendly, touches him on the shoulder. He notices it, like kind of lights him up, the way she talks to him, the eye contact, all of it. She could just be being completely innocent. I think a lot of women show up in the business world aren't even aware that the guy across from them wants to rip their clothes off and have sex. Like it just, there's a lot of it out there. There's a lot of women that play it and use it. There's also a lot of women that aren't even aware that that's what's happening. And so, but it's the guy that's doing that. He's lit up. He's doing that. It's because there's a void in his life. There's something that's missing. And so someone shows up and here it is. So what's easier? The easy thing is like, you know what? I want to keep hanging out with this woman. We're going to collaborate. We're going to do all these things. And no matter how good the business no matter how good she is at business, if there's something underneath it and your real why is really about how you feel lit up, there's a void in your life that you're filling with somebody else's energy. And that is an example of leaky sexual energy. You're leaking it. Because if you've been strife or been in a marriage, let's say for weeks, months, years of disconnect, Like, it feels hard to be able to try to work it out, but yet you feel stuck. I recently was with a gentleman, I don't know, a few months ago, talking through things. And this gentleman is married, hasn't had sex in 6 years. 6 years. You believe that? I think I went a year, 9 months or a year when I was married. 6 years. And yet he's so torn because he's got a religion he wants to follow and he feels like he's fallen out of alignment, but he's like, there's no physical connection. He doesn't feel seen. There's not the respect. He's staying married because he has to stay married for the kids, but yet he's out of alignment of his own core beliefs because at the end of the day, he's lonely. He's lonely. So yeah, he turns to porn, gets lit up in business stuff, puts himself out there because that's where he's getting attention. And the fact of the matter is that's kind of an extreme example, but this kind of stuff happens all the time with the majority of people. It's leaking all over the place. Leaky. And so learning how to channel that, it takes real discipline, right? To stay in it with your wife, work through the challenges. And this is coming from someone that got divorced, right? We worked through it, did everything. I'm at peace tried to do, that I felt like I could do everything that I possibly could. But the reality is it's really hard, especially when there's been years or, you've been married 10 or 15 or 20 years. I'm always so inspired by couples that have been married a couple decades. And then, they're on the verge of potentially divorce or things aren't going well. And then they both lean in and they create magic. And then it's like they're, being married for the first time. I have a good friend, lives actually down in the Dominican Republic. He and his wife, here recently was saying, he's like, the first 22 years were hell and now it's epic. And their 23rd year, they are thriving. Passion, intimacy, sex, everything. But they have just channeled. They're just incredible people. But they had to work through a lot of shit. They had to work through a lot of it. So leaky sexual energy takes away from that. Every time you go downstairs at your house to jack off, to get off, look at porn, look at social media, every time, you're out with your friends and you go home and fantasize about the businesswoman or the woman you saw at the bar or whatever, right? You're leaking energy. You're just leaking it. And it takes away from your power. It takes away from your purpose. And again, I'm stating this from somebody that's in uncharted territories and this whole idea of what's really possible? So for me to even come on and talk about this, it's I need to be able to live this, have lived this, and I'm currently living this. I've been in a relationship for about 6 months. I haven't had sex in 6 months. My energy is locked down. This is uncharted territory for me. Uncharted. Other examples of leaky sexual energy might be this in the singles world. So here in Utah, people getting divorced in their 30s or 40s, whatever, especially if they were raised religiously, Mormon being the main religion here, it's all of a sudden, oh, what else is out there? And there's people are living their 20s out in their 40s. And there's a lot of sex, drinking, all these different things and people trying to find themselves. I was in that stage. It was fun. Dating for me was actually really therapeutic, but then getting into a relationship and then after that relationship, going back into that energy, there was an emptiness to it for me. I'm like, this is weird. I don't like how this feels. A lot of men like the thrill of the hunt, but a lot of men will bring a woman in, call her in, do the thing, right? Then they end up having sex or being intimate and then they go, so they walk away, right? You ask any woman that's been single in her 30s or 40s, it's rampant. And I participated in that for a minute. I'm not going to lie. That's not who I am today. But it's a problem. It's an epidemic. That's another example. It's I need this to feel seen. And it feels good to have a beautiful woman on your side. It feels good to have physical touch. It feels good to be told you're the man. Everybody likes it. But when you can get to a place to where it's yourself so goddamn well, and that you're not necessarily ready to be in a relationship, or you've got something so big, your purpose, your why is so big that you're willing to have some FOMO, you're willing to be lonely, you're willing to endure and channel that energy until you're actually ready to step into it. Now that's another level of maturity. That's another level of confidence. And I know where I'm at personally right now. I'm choosing not to date, to give any energy to that at all. It's shut off. And even for self-pleasure, none of that. It is channeled, uncharted territory. And it's been uncomfortable. I'm not going to lie. It has not been easy. But yet there's this sense of satisfaction when I don't give in, when I don't, because I get triggered. I want to check out, and I'm in uncharted territory with the food because most of my life it was food. And then I've had seasons of food and drugs and porn and all the different things of just not wanting to feel. And here being in the most sober way, most contained sexual energy way I've ever been in my entire life. And it's a completely different way of living. And I'm a very sexual person. I love having sex, but I also am like, I don't need to go seek it. If I wanted to turn that on right now, I could turn that on. It's not that dating in your 40s, I found is a hell of a lot easier when you're younger. It's easy. You can turn that on, and I'm choosing not to because I don't need it. Do I want it? Hell yeah. But I don't need it, and I want to value, and I really want to play with this energy of what's possible. It's fascinating, and I'm just telling you, it's crazy. And again, it comes back to integrity. The porn's not the problem. The DM, they're symptoms. Porn, the DMs, the lighting up with somebody, what's behind that? There's a void. So any dude that's participating in any of this stuff, and again, I'm not judging the behavior, get to the root of it. You always got to get to the root of it. We're as a society and people, we're so quick to blame and judge the actual, what's happening or what you did, but like what's underneath it? What happened? What led somebody to do whatever they happen to do? And there's a void. There's a void missing. And when you need to outsource that, right, there's something missing inside of you. And so what is that? That's what you get to sit with. Sitting with the uncomfortableness. I have an incredible formula that I work with my clients. If you have any interest, shoot me a DM. And I can teach you and show you this, but like to be able to move through uncomfortable emotions because they're going to come. The last few days for me have been actually pure hell. I've been a shit show, not going to lie. And I have wanted to check out, not going to lie. Would have felt great just to jack off and like get a little bit of a release or eat whatever. And I've just stayed so disciplined. I've just allowed myself to feel and not check out. And it's a different level of being able to move through uncomfortable because I also know myself, if I did that, then the shame cycle, I don't want to get caught into that. I've chosen to show up this way. I don't want to violate my word. I want it to matter. So again, saying it, but actually doing it are two very different things, extremely different things. And many times when we stop doing something, there's the body, our brain is looking for the dopamine. It's science. So I launched my fitness offering last year. And I did kind of a promo thing at the beginning. I had 28 dudes show up on this and I was doing a Zoom call and I told them, I said, hey guys, be cautious and be careful that as you're not eating as much sugar and as you're tempering your diet, that all of a sudden you're not turning to porn or jacking off. No joke. Half, more than 2/3 of the guys on there just are like shaking their head. I mean, they didn't see it. I saw it. Like, oh yeah, I get it. So let's talk about this stuff. It's like, there's all the shame and guilt. We don't want to talk about it. I mean, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. Okay. So let's bring it out into the open. Let's talk about it. What does that mean that, that you're actively looking at porn or maybe you have a porn addiction or whatever? It means you're human. So what are you going to do about it? I had a friend that, a couple of years ago shared with me that he had got, his wife found out he was looking at porn. Of course, it created a huge thing. And, she shared some things with friends and the couples all got involved or whatever. And I told him, I'm like, look, dude, I'm like, the reality is like what just happened is your wife got upset. Everybody found out, right? And so you're sitting in it and it's really, let's talk about it. It's really the shame and guilt that's associated with it. It's the secret, but you're getting fingers pointed or whatever. But you've got, let's say 5 or 6 other friends in your friend group. Statistically, 4 of them are doing the same goddamn thing. So what did they just experience? What are they watching play out? They're watching their friend get called out by his wife, rightfully so, because it's the secret. But then all the other wives, the friends are calling him out. And then here's these 3 or 4 men statistically are doing the same thing. Do you think they're going to lean into that? Do you think they're more likely to share what they're doing? Oh, hell no. Hell no. Right? It's brave to bring it out into the open. The truth will set you free. I promise you that. Whatever you're doing, no matter how egregious it is, if you're having an affair, cheat, whatever, it's just like, just bring it out. It will catch up to you. You can't outrun it. I promise. I promise. That little secret you think nobody's going to see, it's coming out. I promise you, it's coming. And it's going to create much more pain. So you get to choose. Are you going to bring it to the surface? Or is the universe, are you going to get caught? Are you going to get busted? Create a lot more pain, years of this shit. And take away from anybody else finding out. Just the weight of carrying the secret and the shame, always having to hide and sneak and do stuff. I mean, it's exhausting. I've been that guy. It's exhausting. I'm, tell, I'm telling you, just bring it out. It hurts. Rip the Band-Aid off. There are consequences to the decisions we make, both positive and negative. But I promise you this. If you're a married dude that's actively looking at porn, go tell your wife. She's going to probably be pissed. She's going to feel hurt. She's going to feel betrayed. Like, that's real. That's why you haven't brought it out to the surface, because you're scared. Shame. She's going to leave me, whatever. Bring it out. Rip the Band-Aid off. It's going to hurt. You have consequences. And then see what magic potentially comes out of it. Maybe it actually brings you closer together. Maybe the marriage ends. And maybe the best relationship's actually on the other side of that. But now you're free. You don't have to talk up. You don't have to hide anything. And again, it negatively affects relationships more than anything, but it's also taking you away from your purpose. When you have leaky sexual energy, it takes away from your drive. I mean, try it. If you're actively jacking off all the time, and you're going to go work out, try doing it before and after. You don't want to give up? Great. Do it first, then go to the gym, or then go to the gym first, then do it after. So look at the difference. There's a difference. It sucks the energy out. You're leaking creative energy. And I'm not taking this from some religious standpoint. I don't believe, that's not who I am, but it's a spiritual truth. It's a universal truth. It is the most powerful energy on the planet. It's the energy of creation. And again, just channeling it. And I promise you this, if you can be, and I got to experience this here in my last relationship, but it's like in a relationship where the container is so goddamn solid, there's no leaks, nothing. Like, it's a different level of intimacy. It's a different level of connection. And then you take that energy that you have with your person, with your husband or wife, and then channel that energy into other projects and then into your family. That's next level. Next level. And I don't say this lightly. Most of you listening to this and most of the world does not do it. They're leaking it somewhere. So again, containment is not suppression. It's just redirection. I'm not telling you to not have sex. I hope you're having sex, you're in a relationship, having sex all the time. If you're single and dating, just be open. If you're a dude that's out there dating, actively having sex with multiple women, just talk about it. Bring it out in the open. No secrets. It's the secrets that's the problem. Just share it. And if someone's going to meet you in that, great, go at it. If you're into porn, bring your wife into it. If that helps, I know couples, it's a big thing in the relationship. Great, okay. Just bring it out. It's the secrets. It's the shame. It's the guilt associated with it. If you have to hide it, you're out of integrity. You can rationalize it, minimize it, no big deal. Nobody knows. Oh, it's just porn. It's just this. It's just once in a while. But if you don't have the balls to be able to bring it out in the open, you're out of alignment. And there's a reason you don't. That's what you get to sit with and ask yourself why. And I don't care how big of a badass, how much money you have, you put all the things out there, like you're the man, everybody's clapping you, and you're the guy that can't tell his wife that he's looking at porn. You're the guy that shows up all the certain ways, right? And then you have this emotional affair, even maybe a physical affair on the side. You don't think that's going to catch up? You don't think that's going to come out? So when you're getting the praise and doing all of it, it's just a performance and you're wearing a fucking mask. It's going to catch up with you, dude. I promise you. Take it off. It's not worth it. It's just not worth it. And I've worn plenty of masks in my life. And I can't tell you how free it is when you can actually stand. I can talk about this stuff openly on a podcast for the world to see. When you own your shit and bring it up to the surface, it hurts. Hurts. The other people, it hurts me. But when you do it, there's a freedom that comes, and that pain is temporary. So you have a choice. I'm going to leak my energy all over the place, and you're just going to prolong the pain. And then it's going to really hurt even bigger. More people are going to get hurt. There's more destruction that comes with it. Versus ripping it off, facing it right now, accepting the consequences, and then that pain is temporary. It's still going to hurt, but it's not going to hurt as long. But the freedom, the peace that comes on the other side of it is something that you cannot put a price on. And I cannot say that. I cannot emphasize that more, that the truth will set you free in owning all of it and then doing the work to not identify that that's who you were. If you cheated, if you cheat in the past, doesn't mean, hey, he's a cheater. No, you cheated. That's not who you are today. If you're continuing to do it, okay, then there's an argument to say that's what you are, but we're not our behaviors. It's and that's the next level of work. It's owning it It's ripping the Band-Aid off. And then it's also working with your identity and not identifying that that's who I am. That's what I did. It's my biggest thing with AA. AA is the most, successful, addiction recovery organization in the country. The thing that I take issue with it is, many of them start the meeting as like, I'm so-and-so and I'm an addict. Now I was an addict, but I'm not identifying as an addict. Now people can agree to disagree with that. But if I cheated, yeah, I cheated, but I'm not a cheater. I lied, but I'm not a liar. It's very different. But when you first take off the Band-Aid, when you first speak the truth, our identity's tied up into it. We feel like shit. That's where the work is. First in telling the truth and then the work. This is the work that I do with men. It's helping rewrite stories. It's identity work. It's mindset. It's just a story, and you can actually rewrite that story. But it's pretty hard to write a story about yourself or see yourself a certain way when you've got cracks in your foundation, when there's little lies, because those little lies get bigger and bigger and bigger. I'm a huge advocate for plant medicine. It's not for everybody. And one of the things I love about it, specifically ayahuasca, and I tell people this is, ayahuasca, when you're in an ayahuasca ceremony, basically the way I would explain it is we have two parts of us, our unconscious and the conscious. And when you're in ayahuasca, it takes your conscious and your unconscious, and God puts everything into alignment and then rips away every story. And then you just got to sit with the truth, the real truth, not the stories, not the reframes, not the perceptions, like the truth. And it can be extremely painful. But I'll never forget the first time I did it, 5 or 6 years ago down in Costa Rica. My very first experience with it was euphoric. It was a self-love thing. It was incredible. And I connected with a gentleman there. We were had the nerves about going into it. And then, the next day we're there and I saw him sitting over there with his head down. And I said, I can't remember his name, but I'm like, hey, how was your experience? How are you? And he goes, I saw who I am. Really somber, really head down. I'm like, who are you? He's like, I'm a cheater. I'm a liar. I'm not honest. And he just started to see all these things because in his experience, he had done some stuff decades ago, hadn't spoken to it, hadn't owned it, had all these stories. We all rationalize why we do certain things, but in ayahuasca, you can't run from that. You can't run from yourself. It's just you and you, and it is painful, but it also helps to set you free and you actually get to address it. But here was a man, 30 years of just past betrayals and lies all came out, and he got to see him. And I don't know what happened to him, but I've had those similar experiences in plant medicine ceremonies. Painful, dark. Wait a minute, that's me? That's my shadow? That's who I am? But I'm telling you, those are the best ones because I was able to work through it. I got to see it and accepting parts of myself that I didn't like. All of us has a shadow side. All of us has that, inner demon. Everybody has a light and dark side. But when you can make friends with the dark, not shame the dark, because each of us has it, and not identify it with all the shit that we've done. Every single one of you listening, me and the entire world has done things we're not proud of. Every single one of us, the majority of the world, are doing things even currently that we're not proud of. It makes us human. But again, if you want change, you got to be able to change in the root of it. If you tie your identity to it, you're screwed. And that's another reason why a lot of people don't want to tell the truth. It's because it's abandonment. There's all these different issues. But then when someone finally does, and more often than not, it's because they get caught, then they got to work through a whole other layer of work. And the cool thing is, guys, it's all unavoidable. But if you happen to be, again, statistically, the majority of you listening to this are actively doing it. So I'm going to invite you to just find one thing, as we close up here, find one thing where a secret that you've got, right? That is hurting somebody if they found out. And I'm going to invite you to sit with it, really focus on it. And I'm going to invite you to actually speak it. Take ownership. Scary as hell. Oh my God, it's scary. But I'm telling you, and I promise you this, that what will come on the other side of it, and depending on how big or grab it, the consequences could be significant. You have no control over that. But when you can speak the truth will set you free. And you can stay and then make the decision to now return to certain behaviors. I'm telling you, what's on the other side of it is 1,000,000 times worth than just not saying anything. It's not worth it. And for you men that are doing this, again, I want to say this, reverse the roles. How would you like it, right? And again, it's not the porn, but let's talk about it for a minute. How would you like it? You know, your wife wants connection, whatever, you're working all the time, right? And she's downstairs, right? Masturbating, getting off on, a trainer at the gym. She's got a picture of him in the gym. She's on social media doing the same thing because there's disconnect. I mean, that's what you're doing. So flip the roles, sit with that. That's another thing that's like, wait a minute, if the roles were reversed, how would I feel about this? We don't even think about that. Probably be pretty pissed. So for those of you that have either, courageously said it on your own or sheepishly said it because you got caught or whatever it happens to be, I mean, reverse the roles. Like, you can see why there's so much around this. So just bring it out in the open. Bring it out in the open. It's freedom. So again, challenge as we wrap up. Protect your sexual energy. It is a superpower. It's a superpower I didn't even know existed. And I'm telling you that from lived experience right now. I'm in uncharted territory, and I am geeking out on this. And I'm finding just certain other things in my life, and it's just I'm able to push through things more than I was able to otherwise. Or when I hit resistance or whatever, I'm able to move through it and not get stuck in it. Because the old me would have got stuck, and it's like, and then I want to check out and numb out on whatever. I didn't want to feel the pain, and then I had to come back, and then, I'm able to move through things quicker. Things are coming into my life. A little woo-woo thing. It's like, sometimes people will say, we have timelines that we're jumping timelines. I mean, you can jump timelines with protecting your sexual energy. It's a thing, and I'm living it right now. So again, guys, whatever you're doing, you're human. You're not perfect. Nobody is. So own it. Let that shit go. Let it go. The freedom is worth it. I promise you it's worth more than whatever amount of money is in your bank account or whatever perception or whatever persona that you're showing. Because if you have all these secrets and you're not speaking it, you've got this whole double life. I'm going to call it what it is. You are an actor. You are not totally real. Yeah, the business side might be the real. This is all real. And people are praised, but like, who's the man behind it? And when you can take off all your masks and stand there literally physically, spiritually, mentally, and emotionally butt-ass naked and just say, this is who I am, this is what I've done, that's when you're free. Otherwise, it's just a performance. And I don't know about you, we see it in government and religion and all these different things. There's so many people, we're all turned off by it. I mean, it's everywhere. So the real challenge is to look in the mirror and where are you performing? Where are you not telling the truth? Again, guys, I can't say it enough. There's so much freedom when you speak it, when you tell the truth. Just let it go. But it's gonna hurt. Let me say it another way. It's gonna fucking hurt. But it'll set you free, and it's worth it. That is a pain you should run towards because it's temporary. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much for joining me, and we will see you next week on the Burnout Podcast.